The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
I gotta tell the people the truth. 13 months ago, 12 months ago, what did I want? I wanted Connor McDavid winning a Stanley Cup. This is karma. This is my fault. And I'm sorry.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer since 2013, currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we dive into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks, because guess what? It is your Canucks every damn day. Even when there's only two teams left in the dance, we still got your back talking Canucks every day. If you haven't done so already, make sure you go subscribe, like, follow, leave a comment. It helps us out here on Locked On Canucks, and you can do it on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, got to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Sadness. No, it's actually brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon today to get started. If you're a fan of the Vancouver Canucks, you cannot cheer for the Edmonton Oilers. You know, I think Kyle and I got a lot of pent-up emotion that we want to get off our chest here in the first few minutes of the show. We're also going to dive into, some Canuck angles in this series in terms of familiar faces and whatnot. And I actually want to get to the Gustav Forsling fiasco a little bit as well. How did this guy go from Canucks draft pick, World Junior stud, to leaving the organization and now being a Norris caliber defense with the Florida Panthers? We'll get into the Gustav Forsling story a little bit. He's on that level, man. Honestly, he's on that level. If you watch these Panthers play, you look at the underlying data, you can make an argument. And I don't even think it's that much of an argument. I think he's been the best defenseman for the Panthers this season. But let's get into it. Some F the Oilers talk, some familiar faces talk, and then maybe we'll end the show on a positive note, but we'll see how we're doing. Speaking of positivity, this guy, he's got no positivity left in his veins right now, and that's Kyle Bowen. It's okay, buddy. It's okay.
Dude, look at what I'm wearing, man. I'm wearing a Vancouver Canadians championship hat from 2023. That is how sad I am, okay? You get this when you buy a six-pack of Sleeman. Again, a Vancouver Canadians. So what team is that? It's a baseball team. I think they're an affiliate for the Toronto Blue Jays. This is the only championship this city has in the last 100 years. That's what it feels like. I know that's being disrespectful to the BC Lions and whatnot, but you know what I'm saying? I'm emotional. Because here I am, not only ready to move on and focus on the offseason and focus on acquisition and do all that jazz with the Vancouver Canucks, but I'm also here stuck with the hockey season because the Oilers are still in the dance, and I'm emotionally invested because I didn't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. And man, oh man, I kind of wanted this to happen. So you can only imagine everything that I'm going through right now because, again, let's start off with this. 12 months ago, 13 months ago, 11 months ago, Beggs, you know this. I called him almost every day talking about it because it was a fascinating topic. And I love the NHL. But I kept on telling him how the NHL needs Connor McDavid to win a cup. Unreal. Now, back in the day, 12 months ago, I'm still in love with the Canucks, but I'm not really in love with the Canucks because for years and years and years, they've sucked. They haven't given me anything meaningful. No meaningful hockey games. And then you fast forward to the now when I'm fully back to who I am. And when I'm who I am, I hate other teams. And I hate the Oilers. And Trevor, I cannot fathom what I'm going through right now because as a sports fan, I've never gone through something like this. Because again, I feel as if I'm going through karma right now. And I can't believe I said it a million times. Like the NHL needs Connor McDavid to win a cup.
Well, I think, Kyle, you're going through that typical 5 stages of grief, right? Like the denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression. And then you got to get to the acceptance, man. That's the key part. But it's hard to get to acceptance. You know what I will not accept? Vancouver Canucks fans cheering for the Edmonton Oilers, okay? Now, Kyle, I know you want to blame yourself. I think what stage would that be? You're in the bargaining stage right now, I'd say. You're in the third stage of grief, okay? So you still got to get through the depression, the acceptance, okay? So But again, you're blaming yourself for this. And I know I kind of called you up for it last year, cheering for Connor McDavid to win a cup.
You did. Okay. I got to admit that. Okay. For real. Back in the day when I, was showing my love to Connor McDavid, saying that, he could change the NHL forever if he's showcased and broadcasted to the masses, lifting the Stanley Cup. Because if people YouTube him, they probably will fall in love with the game. And we saw it last night against Dallas. Like, that's how good he is, and that's how great he is for the game. And yeah, I want hockey to be the coolest sport ever. It's by far the most ruthless and most athletic game on planet Earth. Straight up. But as I was saying this, Trevor Beggs, the real Mr. Blue and Green, okay? You want to talk about loyalty? You want to talk about trust? He's the guy you should trust, because time in and time out, after, I was praying for Connor McDavid to win a cup, this guy was slapping me in the face. He really was. He was telling me it was not good enough. I was being unloyal. I wasn't being the friend that he thought he was making way back when in 2011. I was being dark. Trevor was calling me dark, and not for the obvious reasons. And can you speak on that? Because don't you think I was onto something? Like, you love the NHL too. You know how good Connor McDavid is. Him playing more would essentially mean, more chances for him to be, broadcasted and showcased to all the sports fans in the world. Like, he'd be good for the game. But there you were saying, nah, even though you weren't going through meaningful games, even though the Canucks haven't given you ish prior to this year for almost a decade, like, how did you still maintain that realness, man? You're a real guy, man.
Look, at the end of the day, I think the point you're trying to make is, Connor McDavid is the best player of a generation, one of the most talented players of a generation. But for me, the thought of the Edmonton Oilers winning the Stanley Cup and the pain that I feel with that trumps anything that in terms of what I care about growing the game and whatnot, right? And I don't know, different things appeal to different people too. Like, I think Nikita Zadorov, might appeal to a group of casual fans more than Connor McDavid, right? Depending on your appreciation for the game and what you like, right? If you like that physicality, the bone crunching hits, McDavid's not your guy. And honestly, I think there's a swagger aspect to it too, right? Like, sports again is here for entertainment, and with that, fans love big personalities. Connor McDavid is not a big personality. He gives pretty boring vanilla answers for the most part. He's not some big personality that I think draws attention to himself. Like for me, honestly, I was thinking about this, and maybe this is a bit of apples to oranges, but I was thinking about LeBron James, and I mentioned it during an ad read last week, but I actually got into the NBA because I was cheering against LeBron James. Like, one of my buddies was just such a LeBron James slurper, slurping up anything to do with LeBron James. And yeah, I was just kind of tired of it. So I started cheering against him. I just don't see, like, are there fans out there aside from, hardcore Oilers fans who are cheering for Connor McDavid? I don't think so. I don't think there's this like massive lead, unless you're 8 years old, maybe. I don't think there's grown adults who are like, oh, I don't love the Oilers, but I love Connor McDavid. Yeah, so I don't know.
I didn't like love him. I'm just saying I just wanted him to win. So again, the NHL would stand a better chance at being important. Like, you know what? Straight up, I'm a hockey fan. My algorithm, my phone should know that, right? But when I search up Stanley Cup on Google, what shows up? Not the silver Stanley Cup. It's those water bottles. You know what I'm saying? That's what shows up. So you get what I'm trying to get at? Like, you think I want that showing up when people search up our trophy? No, I don't. And I was trying to tie in, the whole, again, McDavid winning would be good for the game. But man, oh man, can you just shut me up? Again, Trevor Beggs, not a yes man, a really good friend. Thank you so much for all your loyalty back in the day. I wish you actually physically punched me in the face or in the gut or kicked me in the balls. Okay, for real, because I deserved it. Anyways, you're watching that game last night. The Oilers, they win with 10 shots on nets. Like Stuart Skinner, I'm sorry. That shows you how much I respect this dude, because I've been calling him Jeff Skinner the whole time. All that is happening, and I know you're there, and I know knowing you're somehow connecting this to the Vancouver Canucks. So what were you thinking? Because I got my group chats going off about, oh, we could have been there. We gave the Oilers the best chance. Oh, how about this tweet? We see this tweet all the time, right? Oh, it's a good thing if the Oilers won the cup, because that means the Vancouver Canucks lost to the best team. And
No. That's loser mentality, man. And I know that's the narrative. There's a way to spin that into a positive narrative, but the fact that the Canucks pushed the Edmonton Oilers to Game 7, despite not having their starting goalie, despite missing their top winger in Game 7. I mean, of course, there's a ton of what ifs that go through your mind, but the Vancouver Canucks did really push the Edmonton Oilers. And, the thing about this Edmonton Oilers team is they're flawed. I mean, the Canucks could have beat them. They could have beat them. Look, Edmonton Oilers.
I know you were going to go there
last night.
I knew you were going to go there, man.
Yeah, it's hard not to think that way, right? But at the end of the day, that's not what happened. And yeah, I mean, it's all revisionist now, man. Just sadness, bro. There's just sadness.
Speaking of that word, revisionist, right? Let's get to some comments and let's keep having this conversation again. Canucks fans, we got back invested in the game, and here we are in June, not playing games, but for some reason this feels meaningful, right? Like cheering for the Florida Panthers and seeing them win 4 games in this series is so important, so meaningful for, again, a lot of us Canucks fans. Why? Because we're loyal. And Trevor Beggs has always been loyal, but again, I'm back to being loyal, and that's because your Vancouver Canucks are cool again. Look at this comment from Greg Mellon. Are you the commentator or what? Okay, anyways, sorry, I'm rooting for Edmonton now. That's what he's saying. The Stanley Cup drought has been going on for 31 years, and it's time for it to end this year, okay? So again, Greg is saying he's cheering for Edmonton. Bring the cup back home. Bro, can you stop that? Stop that. I don't like that. You are not cheering for the Oilers. You can watch neutrally. If you don't, you know what I'm saying? You can watch neutrally, just in the middle. And also this whole, Canada's team. You know who's Canada's team? Hockey Canada. The Olympics are coming back soon, okay? Save it for then. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to buy a championship hat if the Oilers win? You know what I'm saying? Are you just bandwagon hopping just to feel something in June? Bro, crank the barbecue up. Eat some hot dogs. Chill out. You don't need the Oilers to win or to be successful to fill your quota. Stay loyal to the Canucks. Can't believe I'm saying that.
Hey, man, but your loyalty is now in the right place. And look, if you're a Canucks fan that's now cheering for Edmonton, I hope you go to the back of the line when it comes to Stanley Cup parade in Vancouver, man, because you do not deserve to be taking a front row seat for that stuff, man. Save that for the real fans of the Canucks. Look, it's bizarre. It's straight up bizarre to go and cheer for your rival. I don't care what country they're from, and I don't care about Canada's Cup drought, because I think it's even more painful if Edmonton's the team that breaks the drought. You know what I mean? Because now Edmonton's going to get to rub it in everyone's face for the rest of the time,
Oh, man.
It's just, there's no way I'd be cheering for Edmonton. I'm going to throw Toronto under the bus. I'm going to throw Calgary under the bus. If any of those 3 teams ever broke the drought,
bro,
I'd be choked.
It's not even a Canadian thing. Like, if we played, I don't know, Dallas or LA in the second round, and we had a hard-fought series, and we went through it, and we went to 7 games with LA or whatever, dude, I'm not cheering for LA to win the cup. I'm feeling it. I'm loyal. My guys, these guys are not my friends. Like, the Vancouver Canucks are not my friends, but, they feel like my friends. I'm rooting for them. They feel like family when they're playing playoff games. They're battling. They're going in the trenches, taking cross checks. You know what I'm saying? Taking high sticks to the face, bleeding for us. You think I'm going to cheer for the team that did that to our guys and beat them? No way. No way. Now, Trevor, before we get to break, just spend 20 seconds on this. You did understand the whole time when I was spieling to you last year about McDavid winning the cup that I was not cheering for the Oilers. I was cheering for McDavid. Like, I made that clear a lot of times. I know you didn't really make sense of that, but I think you were just trying to be nice to me by slightly agreeing to me. But there is a difference, right? Because again, this is like a therapy session to me. I'm trying to make sense of where I was last year in my life, because I'm usually a loyal guy, like 99.99% of the time, or 99.97% of the time. There's a difference, right? 12 months ago when I was saying that, like, I'm cheering for McDavid and not the Oilers.
Yeah, I think that comes to the territory of doing a daily hockey podcast on the Canucks in June when no one else is in the dance, right? Look, it's I'm not holding it against you. I see what you're saying. I mean, look, I think LeBron James is a great example. Like, my same friend who's a LeBron James slurper, he cheers for LeBron James no matter where he plays. And if LeBron James, he changes team, that's like all of a sudden his new favorite team. So, but yeah, I see what you mean. It's good for the game, I guess. McDavid wins, blah, blah, blah. But I, for one, do not want to see it. I will cheer. I don't want either of these teams to win, but I want the Oilers to lose more than I want the Panthers to lose. So therefore, I'm cheering for the Florida Panthers. Let's talk about some familiar faces in the series on the other side, specifically Gustav Forsling, the enigma himself, who was, again, a Canucks draft pick at some point, and now he is the best defenseman left playing in the NHL right now. More than next year on Locked On Canucks after we showed it our friends over at eBay Motors. Oh, you're right, baby. You know the deal. That passion, drive, and patience, that's the formula for winning championships. And it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash, baby. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Oh, yeah. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions by eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers.
Shout out to my Honda Civic, man. People, we doing this, and that's kind of sort of talking about your Vancouver Canucks on this program called Locked On Canucks. All in all, I'm just, again, trying to make sense of where my life was at 12 months ago. And also try to make sense of the fact that, Begsy, you're a good friend, man. You were holding me accountable last year. You always keep it real with me. You're not a yes man. I'm proud of you, man. You're a good guy. You really are. Now, you're looking at this point in your life is June, the Florida Panthers, the Oilers, and you're so loyal to, again, the cause, the hate against the Oilers, that you're out here openly saying that Evan Bouchard isn't the best defenseman in the playoffs. It's Gustav Forsling. In fact, Forsling is what? A future Norris winner? Like, talk about it.
Like, I think Gustav Forsling is the most complete player left among defensemen in the playoffs. And look, Evan Bouchard, yeah, I'm crapping on the guy a bit. He's had a fantastic playoffs, obviously, right? The best offensive defenseman in the playoffs, I'll say that. But defensively, he's had some flaws, man. And the Oilers, I know they play better defense, but you saw it a couple times in the Canucks series. This guy bobbling the puck, a couple turnovers. You know, I think he's certainly propped up by playing with McDavid for most of his even strength minutes. And yeah, I think Gustav Forsling in general, though, in terms of his defensive awareness, his timing in terms of jumping up in the play. I mean, Evan Bouchard scoring off of point shots. Gustav Forsling, like, look at his goal in Game 5, just sneaking through the defense, man. Sneaky.
Damn.
The D, penetrating the D. Some D on D action. Who doesn't love that? Gustav Forsling again. I think he's the most complete defenseman remaining in the postseason, honestly. And he's been so solid for the Panthers all year long. And again, it's a fascinating Cup Finals because, you know, Panthers got, you know, 3 arguably number 1 caliber defensemen. The Oilers have 1. So I think that is an advantage for the Florida Panthers. But I'm not going to lie, man. I'm bitter. It's Monday. It's cloudy. The Oilers are in the Cup Final after winning, after having 10 shots on goal. I'm bitter for a number of reasons, man. Another reason I'm bitter, though, is because Gustav Forsling is with the Florida Panthers now. I know this guy's bounced around from team to team, but he was a Canuck property, and Jim Benning, he screwed the pooch. He screwed it. He screwed the pooch, trying to rush things along. And, you know, I'm not very popular on Twitter, but I'll tell this story again. When Patrick Allvin traded, when he traded Jonathan Meyerberg to Boston for Jack Studnicka, I said, man, oh man, could this be another Gustav Forsling situation? And Adam Clendenning liked the tweet.
Dude, who is Adam Clendenning? Do you remember that guy, man? Are you serious? Brought absolutely nothing to the table. Literally 71 overall. His potential is like C+, C at the most. And there's Jim Benning trying to accelerate the future of the Vancouver Canucks with a guy like that. Because you understand where maybe he was coming from. Like, teams make moves like that, but you have to make sure you hit a home run or at least a double, you know? And what did he do? He traded for another AHL player. Ridiculous. Jim Benning's pro scouting was absolutely atrocious. It really was. And I know I cut you off there, but I think I know the answer to this. Like, are you jealous of Florida and Gustav? And are you more jealous because, like, is he an ideal partner for Quinn Hughes? Is he the perfect second pairing top guy? Like, where's your mind going when you're, again, playing GM mode in your mind and thinking about Gustav Forsling still wearing blue and green?
I think of all the what ifs, man. I mean, Look, he's a left shot guy, so it would be him and Hughes on kind of as you want to. But man, oh man, like can you imagine having two of the best defensemen in the game on your team, right? And I just think the other what ifs too, like if Forsling flourishes in Vancouver, if he's able to stick around that long, and I know Jim Benning was in charge, it was probably never likely to happen. But if he did stick around, I mean, they don't make the OEL trade, they don't have the OEL buyout on the books because they already have that, puck moving Swedish defenseman who can log big minutes on the team. So, and yeah, for fans who don't know, it goes to have Force. It did bounce around, right? He was traded in January 2015. Benning was trying to sell high after Forsling had a really solid World Juniors. He traded him to the Blackhawks for Adam Clendening. Forsling was kind of bouncing the AHL and NHL for the Blackhawks. And then he was traded to the Carolina Hurricanes in a deal where Chicago was trying to beef up for the playoffs. I believe they acquired Calvin DeHaan in that trade. Forsling put up great numbers in the AHL, almost a half point a game guy, good analytics at the AHL level. And then he's scooped up off of waivers by the Panthers. So he never actually played a game for the Carolina Hurricanes. They called him up, tried to demote him, and he got claimed off, and the rest is history. So he goes to Forsling. I mean, look, I'm happy for the guy, a late round pick. Long road to get there, right? He had to go to finally get to his fourth NHL team to really find a home and make the big bucks. But man, it's like it's kind of crazy to think that not only the Vancouver Canucks, who again Benning trading him for freaking Adam Clendening is atrocious, but Carolina and Chicago to kind of miss out on that too. It's kind of an indictment on their organizations, especially Carolina, who's been pretty good in the pro scouting side. And kudos to Forsling, who just put in the work. And man, oh man, like one of the craziest stories in the NHL right now, in my opinion, for a guy to go from waiver wire fodder to again Norris caliber. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got a good shot. He's just smart. He's pretty cerebral, calm player. Yeah, it's a miss. It's a miss on a lot of fronts. Can you pull up the stats for Gustav Forsling over the last 2 years so our listeners know like how good this guy is, because he was kind of showing this like his potential and also his place in the NHL being prominent last year.
Yeah.
All in all, though. Oh, you have him in front of you? Okay, good. Because I got something else to say about another player. Yeah,
so he's right around the half point a game mark. So I could even should I do math in my head here? I mean, over the last 2 seasons combined, he's got 27 goals and 78 points. This season, he had 13 goals and 41 points in 82 games. Again, not big points in the playoffs here. He just has 2 goals and 8 points in 21 games, but really solid possession numbers, and he's playing in a tough role. And look how good like the Panthers have been when he's been on the ice. They are Quinn Hughes like numbers.
Whoa. Yeah, the Florida Panthers are Canada's team, aka Vancouver's team, aka go Roberto Luongo, and go Matthew Tkachuk. Look at this. Callum Sandu, man, Dr. Zeus. Tkachuk even rhymes with Canuck. The Vancouver Canucks. It could have been a thing in reality too, right? Because we missed out on another defenseman. Like, who was better, Adam Clendening or Ole Juolevi? Exactly. You can make an argument for Adam Clendening. That's how bad Ole Juolevi was. I know injuries happen, but man, oh man. Okay, can I bring this up before we get to the third segment? Okay, so it's because we have a comment here from Dylan, right? I don't want to see Sam Bennett hoisting a cup. 18-year-old Sam Bennett, always a playoff nuisance. He was even doing that against the Vancouver Canucks way back when he was actually 18 years old. Remember that? Just running around, doing his thing, feeding off of Michael Ferland and that energy, all that jazz. This being said, Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and a lot of other players, the NHL is going to like. They're going to like the product here. It's going to be entertaining. Now, Sam Bennett, how am I going to relate this to a Canuck thing? Obviously, the Canucks need to find a guy like that. Every other team needs to find a guy like that and do so for the cheap, just like the Florida Panthers did, right? They gave up 2 second-round picks and got one of the top 10, top 20 most impactful playoff players on their team. Do you feel as if there's a lane there, if there's more hate supplied in this person's game for Dakota Joshua to be, I don't know, something like that? Because he's faster than a lot of people believe. I think with a better offseason, because that's something that Joshua apparently didn't have last year based on how he showed up in camp. Like, is there a lane for him to be quicker, a bit more, I don't know, on the puck all the time, just like Sam Bennett is? Because the physical nature is there, the want to hit is always there, and the skill is there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big difference between the two players is size. Like Bennett's actually not the biggest guy in the world. I believe he's like 6'1", 190, whereas Josh was what 6'5", 210. So there's a bit of a size difference for sure. I've said it before. I do think there's another level to Dakota Joshua's game. I don't know how much faster he can get per se, but I do think again he's pretty, age wise he's pretty much the exact average age of an NHLer, but he hasn't played a lot of NHL games. I still think there's another level there in terms of his experience. Kyle, let's wrap it up on the other side, okay? Showed a couple other former faces in this series, and maybe I'll end on a positive note. I'll tell you why. Maybe it's a good thing that we've ended up with this Stanley Cup final. I'm going to try to go there at least. More on that next year, but before we get to that, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel. All right, it's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, and more. Now, again, looking at the odds for this final, let me bring up the Conn Smythe Trophy odds, okay? So Connor McDavid leads the way at plus 230, Barkov at plus 400. Gustav Forsling is up there, plus 6,000. And let me throw out another one for you, okay? Carter Verhaeghe at plus 2,400. Mr. Playoffs, okay? Leads the Panthers in terms of goals, all-time goals of Panthers playoff history. Now, Carter Verhaeghe could be a guy that sneaks into that conversation as well. And, Evan Bouchard, who we saw in the Canucks series. Oh, God, I hate that cross-eyed little. Anyways, he's plus 700. So, again, if you like Bouchard in his playoffs, maybe that's not a bad bet as well. Wherever you're betting, however you're doing it, again, make sure you go do it on FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
People, we are back here on Locked On Canucks, doing our thing here at the Don't Dose Art Lab, a place that gives you that West Coast bias, and a place that, I don't have no problem saying this. It's only created and here if it's for the Vancouver Canucks for real, because the Vancouver Canucks taught us how to fall in love with the Vancouver, everything, the Vancouver people. And again, if you want that West Coast bias, you have to appreciate the people here on the West Coast, the best coast of Canada. And please don't be from here and don't have like a Canucks jersey in your closet and a Canucks car flag in the back of your car and cheer for the Oilers because you want to feel something in June when it comes to your, experience in life. Go do something else, okay? For real. Go find an activity. You don't need to fill a void in your life, which is excitement, and feeling like you're a part of something with the Edmonton Oilers. Please don't do that, because what you're going to do is allow phoniness to enter your life. I cannot trust you if you're a Canucks fan and you're cheering for the Oilers. I can't, man. I can't. Straight up, man.
No, that's not good, man. But you know what? Despite all the anger and sadness, let me end the show.
I'd rather trust my ex-girlfriend. Dated her for 5 years. She left me for a girl. I'd rather trust that. But then she started seeing a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, a friend that I brought to Vegas with me to attend a family member's wedding. She did both those things to me. I'd rather trust her than trust a Canucks fan who is cheering for the Oilers now. Again, if you need excitement in your life, do something else. Go to the gym. Join a Pilates class, a yoga class, a spin class. Play some basketball, play some baseball, play some frisbee. You don't need to feel something by joining the bandwagon of the Edmonton Oilers. That is pathetic. How's it going, Bagsy?
I was just thinking, I'd rather, chuck up my insurance policy through Policygenius. So that's a free shout out. I'd rather take, three fingers up the what instead of cheering for the Edmonton Oilers and trusting Canucks fans to cheer for the Oilers. Unbelievable stuff, man. But, a lot of anger, a lot of pessimism on today's show. Let's end the show here on a positive note with a little Begsy's ballad. Don't get me wrong. Today sucks, okay? It sucks to see the Edmonton Oilers in this Stanley Cup final. But Canucks fans, better days are ahead. And you don't really need me to say that. You know better days are ahead, okay? The Vancouver Canucks have given the Edmonton Oilers their stiffest challenge so far. And, we've seen it with both the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, okay? Teams who win the Stanley Cup, and for the most part, teams that make it to the Stanley Cup finals need to go through pain, okay? And I know Canucks fans, they've been through more pain than any other organization. But with this core, this is their first kick at the can. This is their first chance to go and win a Stanley Cup, okay? I'm not counting 2020 because Jim Benning screwed the pooch and wrecked the team after that. But in this iteration of the Canucks, this is their first chance to go to the dance, okay? And they didn't make it. And Canucks fans shouldn't be surprised by it, okay? It was a learning experience for Hughes, a learning experience for Pettersson. The Canucks will be back. They'll be better in the next 2 to 3 years ahead. The window is now, okay? I've said it before. There's a 3-year window for the Vancouver Canucks right now. And I believe they're going to capitalize on it and bring home the cities for Stanley Cup. So preach some patience, Canucks fans. It's going to suck seeing the Oilers have any success in the final. But remember, better days are ahead for you and your Vancouver Canucks.
100%, man. For real. It's about stamina. It's about understanding the games you're playing in May and June. And again, when the Canucks dominated the Oilers in Game 5 of the second round and took a 3-2 series lead, they emptied the tank. They did. Why did they empty the tank? Because they let it all go and they didn't have anything else in store. Why didn't they have anything else in store? Because they'd never been there before. They probably didn't train the month earlier than the Oilers probably started to do, okay? Or the Florida Panthers. Look at the Florida Panthers. They're playing top-end hockey all the way till June. Last year, they got that head start on athleticism and stamina and just an understanding of what it takes. The Canucks didn't know that going in the middle of May, but now they do. They had to go through this experience. And as Trevor alluded to, look at the Oilers. They lost to the last 2 Stanley Cup champions in the last 2 years before getting here. It's the way of life, man. It's the way of life. If you cheer for the Oilers and you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, okay? You know how Trevor said this earlier? Like if there's a Stanley Cup parade and the Canucks win the Stanley Cup next year and you go back in time, and this is ironic because it's coming from me who wanted Connor McDavid to win the Cup, but let me speak, okay? If that happens in 2025, the Canucks win the Stanley Cup, and you go through your phone and go through your memories, and it tells you, like, oh, what you were doing last 12 months ago, and there's a picture of you having a Stanley Cup viewing party at your crib, a crib that you pay a mortgage for or rent for to host, again, other people to go cheer on the Oilers, I'm telling you, you're not going to hell. You're not going to hell. But you're never going to be my friend.
Straight up. So I guess we are on the Panthers bandwagon officially. And hey, there's a couple other Canuck connections too. Obviously, Roberto Luongo. Maybe we'll talk about him more this week. And special advisor to the general manager. A couple other Canuck connections on Florida staff. You have Brian McCabe. He's director of player personnel. Again, Brian McCabe, defenseman in the late 90s, helped Hopper Tuesday come to the Vancouver Canucks. So that was nice. Maxime Ouellette, short-term Vancouver Canucks goaltender. Also on the Panthers staff. And there was another one here too that I lost right now, but actually something interesting. Leo Luongo, Roberto Luongo's brother, is the director of goaltending development. So hey, it's a Luongo family affair with the Florida Panthers. So going to be a big party in Montreal, in Little Italy when the Panthers win the Cup. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can't. It took us 35 minutes to do this, or 34 minutes. But man, oh man, we are really cheering for Florida to win a cup before us. You want to talk about conversations that me and Trevor have had in the past? I've had that on record many times, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. With Trevor, you can find that conversation somewhere on the internet. That is the last thing I ever wanted. I think I compared Arizona and Florida, okay, to, again, this equation that I never wanted. But here we are. The Florida Panthers are going to win a Stanley Cup before the city of Vancouver. Bro, when we win a cup, I'm going to be naked for 70 days.
Nice.
Yep.
There you go. That's gonna kickstart Kyle's career in porn. Okay, Kyle, time to start practicing because we got to sign out right now. So shout out to the everydayers, occasional listeners, first time listeners, new subscribers, and those of you who joined us on the live show on YouTube. It don't matter where you're listening, when you're listening. We just appreciate you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. Remember, it is your Canucks every day. How to get some things off our chest here on a Monday. But I think later this week we do want to touch on some more Canucks-centric stories. Lots to talk about these Vancouver Canucks. Okay. Should they buck up and sign Nikita Zadorov long-term? Should they trade Ilya Mikheyev? Should they trade Filip Hronek? what about Thatcher Demko? We also want to get into the value rankings, okay, among Vancouver Canucks players. Lots to get in. Make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, because, hey, we ain't going anywhere, okay? Except for right now, because we got to get out of here. So I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Kyle Bowen. And you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
I'm such a wreck right now, man.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks,